succeed because they feel they should be the ones. But we have seen women who have done very well, and we must congratulate them. Despite the double role they play, they are doing very well. They are good administrators. But whenever a woman makes a mistake, they want to dramatize it, you know, like it's
exaggerate the whole
and
thing.
Unfortunately, the women are in the forefront. Instead of them supporting a fellow woman, they are the ones, and they are used by men anyway. The men will go to them and tell them to be marketing officers, and they do that. So laugh a lot, enjoy life, and when the time comes, you will get married. If you don't, I emphasize, if you are going to be reaching your final years on earth, and you are not yet married, please present your credential to God with a smile and say, God, I didn't get married, but this is what I did while on earth.
And probably that was your plan even.
Exactly. Maybe God didn't want you to marry a person who will kill you the next day.
Maybe they're preventing you for something.
Exactly. We're seeing a lot of violence in homes.
Definitely.
That is all because of forced marriages. Yes. Some people are forced to marry certain individuals, arranged marriages, and in the end, there's no love there. And they start quarreling and fighting because the foundation of that love was not strong.
Yeah, actually prompting my next question, Auntie Joyce, because, you know, I've heard men say, you know, some women just want to rush into marriage because, you know, there are problems at home and she wants to run away. And for even those who are educated from, let's say, university or college, you know, you got used to that 4 years, 5 years of life without having your mother say, what you got caught this time and all that. So they want straight from there, they panic straight into get the first person who says, let's stay together or let's get married.
Again, that's lack of knowledge of what goes on in another camp. Because if you knew what goes on in marriage, you wouldn't rush from your mother's home into marriage, because it will be tougher there. The restrictions will even be worse. Because my mother may just shout at me for coming late, but my husband will beat me.
It's another case.
Yeah, or chase me.
Okay.
You know, so it's lack of going deeper into thoughts. You can't run away from your parents. In fact, being with your parents is the best period of your life.
Yes.
Yeah, we all think it's tough, it's not nice, but it's the best. And going into marriage because you are running away from freedom, I can assure you, young girls, you won't have freedom in that house.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Auntie Joyce. You're watching Woman 360. We take a break, and when we come back, we answer a few of the SMSs that you sent just on this topic, and I'm sure Auntie Joyce will be able to help us on those. So you're watching Woman 360. We are with Auntie Joyce in the studio. She's really giving us an insight of what it is about women and how women cannot just panic, just wait for your Mr. Right. She found her Mr. Right at 50 years old. Some of you sent text to ask just some pertinent questions that you think are relevant to you. And Auntie Joyce, our first one, I know you've touched on this one. Someone is asking that social pressure from friends getting married. Maybe you can just cement that. I know you've mentioned something earlier. Yeah,
I know a lot of girls start panicking when their friends get married. But I'm telling them that if it's not your time, it's not your time. Let's not panic. Because when you panic, you will definitely make a wrong choice. Take it easy. Make yourself busy. You wish your friend who has got married good luck. And to the girls who get married, please don't start underrating your friends, looking at them as failures. Help them. As I was helped by my friends, you know, they still kept in touch with me. We were still friends. We still visited each other. And they still encouraged me to wait. Yes, you will be lonely sometimes. Some people say at work, I'm happy. When I get home, I get so lonely. I was lucky because when I get home, I sleep a lot. So the next day, I start all over again. But make yourself busy. When you make yourself busy, when you get home, have a good shower, you'll sleep. Definitely. And pray to God, tell him to give you the way, to show you the way. If things don't work, don't push. I'm hearing women even buying rings for men. When the man says, I would have loved you to marry you, but I'm sorry, I don't have the finance for this and that.
I'll cover the finances.
That's evil.
That's very evil.
Even a man must run away from such a woman. That's a very dangerous woman. You don't do that. We are supposed to be, women must be paid for, not the other way around.
Okay, here's another one. It's like, I think this one's more of a comment. It's from a gentleman called Chilufi. Okay, anyway, so my gentleman is saying women sometimes get into marriage because they have no occupation and they want to have security and want to be stable under a man's occupation.
But how do you have security in another person? We don't have, I mean, that person's life is not you to determine when they go and when they leave you. For example, if they died, I said it earlier, If that person dies, what happens? Where's your security? And if that person decides to leave you, what happens? Because there are divorces every day. Tomorrow, this person will say, I don't love you anymore. So you must, first, before you get married, must secure yourself. You are the only one who can secure yourself. When we are born, our parents show the way, and they've said the journey is ours. So you have to secure yourself through education, through occupation, whatever you are doing, so that love is based on mutual understanding, not because I want to exploit you, then I pretend to love you.
Yes.
No, that is wrong. That is a poor way of thinking, very shallow.
Yes. And the other one is talking about the ratio of man to woman. I don't know how true this is, actually. I get this a lot. They say there are more women than men.
I think there are more
this one saying
men.
the ratio of men to woman is almost 5 to 2 men. So she's saying the first one that comes on is actually your man. I don't know what you can say about that.
That is all deliberately done to make people panic. I think we are in different age groups, for example. There are young people being born today, others are 2 years, men and women, and so I can't go and get married to a person who is 6 years down the line. I mean, it's the age groups. Are we saying the ratio in that age group? Who has determined that? You know, all those are created to make women start panicking. There's no such of there are shortage of men. The men are more. The women are more. The men are few. The men are deliberately saying that so that they make us panic. So let's forget about the ratio.
Or grab us three
they tell us so that we have 3 wives or 6 wives. That is society. So let's ignore them.
Okay.
Let's ignore them. We have people in Europe who don't believe in impali.
Yes, of course.
The women who live, they won't agree to be married to 2 people, to 1 man.
Yes.
But it's common in Africa. And they want
Tongas out there, I'm sure the Tongas.
Yeah, and they want to give us the impression that we are more than them. That is not true. When your time comes, you get married.
Okay.
So don't panic that the men are finishing. They are still there, and there are plenty. Yes. For me, there have been too many for me. Definitely. It's only that I didn't like them, most of them.
Okay, Auntie Joyce, it's been a pleasure having you on Woman 360. You've helped a lot of women out there, I'm sure, because sometimes, you know, as women, we always want to hold the most critical thing to yourself, and you don't want to share it.
Speak about it. Yes. Speak about your feelings, how you feel about not getting married. Feel free and mix and talk about these issues. Don't go into your bedroom and start crying that what is happening to me. If a relationship is not working, let go. Yeah. You know, let go. I learned very early in life that if falling in love is causing pain, because I love you and I'm always in pain, it's not worth it.
So love is not pain. Love is not pain, definitely.
If it's pain, it's painful, then there is no relationship there. Okay. Let go and move on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Auntie Joyce, thank you so much once again for just, you know, coming to us and sharing your life with us. At least we know a little bit more than Zufiao, and that's it. So thank you so much. And of course, there are some SMSs that have come to, we'll follow you up and you answer those for our next program.
Okay. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you so much. This has been Woman 360. On Woman 360 next week, we're going to be discussing why do women use charms on men. Thank you for watching Woman 360. On Woman 360 this week, we are talking sexual harassment and dressing of ladies at work. So if you already have a comment on that, type TV2 W360 and send that comment or question to 882. My guests for this evening, Mutinta Msokotwane. You're watching 360 Degrees of Women Issues, and I've already introduced our topic for this evening. It's sexual harassment and dressing of ladies at a workplace. So, ladies, do you know what sexual harassment is? Do you know where it starts and where it ends? And of course, what are the little things that we think we just brush them aside and think, what is this? Is that sexual harassment? But of course, Woman 360 always wants to involve you people out there. So I did a mini survey. I went into the streets of Lusaka and just asked people on their views of sexual harassment at a workplace in regards to women, as well as what they think of the dressing of ladies at a workplace today. Have a look at this.
The working place is not all that good.
Why do you say so?
Especially when they are working wearing What do they call skin tights? Those are not good.
And do you think us ladies are aware of sexual harassment at the workplace?
Yeah, there is.
And do you think this exists in many companies?
It does.
What would you,
A lot of companies it does.
what would you say sexual harassment is, or your comment on sexual harassment?
It's because of their dressing. Their dressing is not all that respective. Yeah.
It's important that once we go for work, we just deal with work, not any other things. If there are bosses who are harassing people, that's not the right way of doing things.
Okay, it depends where you're working from. Personally, I'm a hotelier, so the way we dress formal. Yeah, because we meet different kinds of clients, so we have to be formal all the time.
They call it at office wear, so it depends on how they say. Because they're calling it to be office wear, but if you look at because what people believe is that, I don't know what they believe, but office wear should be below the knees or not. But if you go to city market with the same wear, they will shout at you. So I don't know how they take it.
kuchino muntu techatemu okulaenda namukabe nishiwe kuchinda techiwa kuchindike panchito kuchiwale kumala kwata uli mungu lingira okukonka enchito nochikurasite fyabukulu we muntu fule wayichindika fule wafala fye bwino nga nimuma kwachima offices chali nga wafala amasuti ulengoneka smart nomba nga royal dress ulengira okufala fya royal dress
Really, sometimes the way the ladies dress at work is very bad. Sometimes, most of the ladies, they dress in such a way that they just expose their nakedness, showing that they are willing to do sexual activities anywhere and anyhow. What my thinking is, most ladies don't respect themselves.
I understand there's some people that who tell young ladies to say no, if I go out with you, that's when you get a job.
I understand it this time because they are following what is happening in Europe, or they follow the Europe dressing. So as for me, I can't comment on what each and every person can put on because they put on what they feel is fit for them.
Sexual harassment, yes, it's common, especially people who are beautiful. Because when they go to in the offices, they're looking for a job. Then they find the boss in that company. Maybe he has got that behavior. May propose a woman, and maybe for that woman to be employed, it has to be harassed through sexual harassment.
The beauty about an opinion is that it's your own and no one can take it away from you. So those were the opinions of some people in the streets of Lusaka on sexual harassment and dressing of ladies at the workplace. Earlier on, I was talking about the guests that we have for this evening. And I have the beautiful lady, Mutinta Msokotwane, to help us discuss one of these topics. Mutinta, welcome to Woman 360.
Hey, Judy.
Hey, how are you?
Very good.
Look lovely.
I feel lovely. Thank you.
That's nice. Okay, so we are talking about sexual harassment. Maybe just to start with, how can we define this? Because I know we shouldn't take it for granted. Everyone knows, because if you just leave it there, anyone can assume.
Yeah, I can only give my opinion.
Yes.
I cannot, I'm not an expert, so I wouldn't be able to define it. But my opinion is, you know, we all have circles as human beings. You have your inner circle, you have the next circle, and so on. I think sexual harassment is any innuendo or any action by a co-worker, sexual harassment at the workplace,
Yes.
that is, by a co-worker when that person is in your inner circle. Like, it's simple things like how close is somebody standing to you? You know, what have they said to you? Are they insinuating anything sexual? You know, there are times somebody will shake your hand and, you know,
You give you that little finger thing.
yes. Oh, that drives me up the wall. But yeah, you know, so it's a number of things, I think.
And you know, it's good you've clarified, because most people would think sexual harassment is only, you know, physical when someone touches you, but sometimes it's even the words they say.
Yes, and a lot is said. Like, you find people calling you, hey, honey, No.
No.
I'm not your honey. I'm my
Ngulube.
husband's honey. You know, so
Yes, it's true.
It's things like that. When people get too familiar and they leave that professionalism, you should be addressed in a professional way at all times.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, when you look at most ladies who are working, who are in the office, who are in, you know, this corporate world, do you think they're really aware of sexual harassment?
Honestly, I don't think so. But on the other hand, I think even those who are aware don't know what they can do about it. I think that treatment of employees generally by corporates has become worse and worse. It has just totally declined. It's like organizations don't understand that their number one asset is the organization. So you find that, their number one asset is the employees. So you find that people are so desperate to keep their jobs that they will put up with whatever they need to in order to just stay in that job.
Definitely.
So, but to a large extent, I don't think people are even aware. Yeah.
And, you know, when you think about this, what triggers this sexual harassment at the office? Because, as you've said, we go there to work, and it's serious business. But what brings about this?
Well, maybe it's because you spend more time at the office. So people easily get familiar, you know. But also, I think what triggers it can only be defined by the harasser, by the person who's getting into somebody's inner circle, by the person who's, you know, saying what they shouldn't say. I like what would trigger it, I'm not sure, but you know, people get familiar and you get comfortable with each other and you drop the, you know, respect and the professionalism sometimes.
Definitely. And you know, in society, I haven't heard anybody come up and say I was sexually harassed. So do you think does society take this seriously? Or maybe somebody has tried and gone to the police and maybe they haven't been taken seriously. Anyway, we haven't heard of anyone who's said I've been sexually harassed in the media or anywhere. So do you think society is really taking this seriously?
I think society can only take it as seriously as individuals take it seriously. What is society supposed to do if you, Judy, don't stand up and raise a flag and say I've been sexually harassed? I mean, and what do the Bembas say? Yes.
Yes, it's
so
true.
I can't come to you and say, do something about it. I mean, I can, but if you don't raise the flag yourself, then it becomes a little bit complicated. So I think it's one of those serious issues that society has looked the other way, because unless individuals in that society, you know, start to stand up against it, there's nothing society can do about it.
Okay. And you know, Mtinta, when I was doing my survey, something quite interesting came up. A number of people were saying ladies themselves sometimes, you know, just trigger this sexual harassment because, you know, the way they dress, the way they are going to look at you. What's your comment on that?
I think that's rubbish. That's rubbish. Can I guess that it's men who are saying that? Probably
yes,
men who sexually harass
yes, like
somebody.
Yes.
You know, I was listening to the topic in itself that we're discussing here, sexual harassment and dressing in the workplace. It's like you've already branded that there's sexual harassment in the workplace because of the way ladies dress.
Most people say that.
And I think it's rubbish. I would like to use a word that is less harsh, but it's just rubbish. Nobody calls on bad things on themselves.
Definitely.
Nobody does that.
How would you want that?
Men are human beings. They're not dogs or animals. We can't say that men have no responsibility for who they are. But it's just that a lot of men don't take responsibility for the way they are. And I think it's socialization, because they are raised to, you know, take the world, do what you want, and nobody can do anything about it. But you know, where I work, ladies dress extremely decently. We wear our corporate suits. We wear our, you know, we go to work dressed for work. So I don't know where that would come from. You know
what I mean?
Yeah, but I think also, on the other hand, it's not only women getting sexually harassed, it's also men getting sexually harassed.
Wow.
So what does that also count? Like, do men wear things that trigger sexual harassment? I just think it's sexual harassment, like rape and defilement, has nothing to do with the other person. It's a control thing, it's a power thing. It's a sick person doing it.
Because I always ask sometimes, you know, we've got these traditional ceremonies where we are half of, you know, the breasts are outside, your
why
bust
aren't
is
the
what?
women at Kuala, you know, sexually harassed?
Or when we go to the beach, what happens? Everyone is
Yes.
in bikinis and things like
No,
that. What happens?
It's just a useless mind that would say something like that. And it's wrong. But like you said, it's their opinion.
That's the
They're
thing.
entitled to it.
It's true.
Yeah.
Now, what are some of the signs of sexual harassment? Because you can be a victim one of these days. I'm in the office and then you think the guy is just being friendly. What could be some of the signs?
Oh, there's quite a difference with being friendly. You know, I always tell people, I say, you know, we come to work. We don't have to like each other. You know what I mean? So everybody has to draw a line for themselves. Another person will never draw a line or put boundaries for you. So I think some of the effects, did you ask me the effects?
Yes.
Some of the effects of sexual harassment, I think, would be productivity. You know, I think that if somebody was sexually harassed, their productivity would go down because you'd find that they're not contributing as much as they should. They're not spending as much time on the work as they should because they're scared it could happen again. They're scared that, you know, maybe they'll be caught out and maybe people will blame them as it always happens, you know. So I think it definitely reduces somebody's productivity.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the signs, some of the signs that we could look out for as ladies?
Some of the signs of someone who's been sexually harassed.
No, like let's say you're in an office place and then you've got a colleague who's a gentleman and then, you know, you're thinking, he always says, like the names you were saying, hi, honey, hi, sweetie, and things like that.
Judy,
what are some of the signs we should look out for? And you think, I think this is now sexual harassment.
You know, when it feels wrong, it's wrong. It's, you know, like, let's say I'm standing in a doorway. Don't try and pass when I'm standing in that doorway because
there's no space for the
there's
two
no
of us.
space. You know, let somebody not stand too close to you, whether you're in the kitchen, in the office or whatever. You know, body contact, that is a no-no. You know, don't call me by a pet name. You know,
it's true.
I mean, it also depends on the culture of the workplace. Either you call me Mutinta or you call me Mrs. Chikopela or whatever the culture is in that workplace. Don't call me dear. Don't call me sweetheart. Don't call me by a pet name. Those names are reserved for those who are in my inner circle, you know, and don't make innuendos. I mean, I do think that workmates should be able to go out and, you know, team build, have a drink or whatever. But I think even as a woman or man above a certain age, you know when somebody's being genuine and saying it's a team building session. And why are they inviting you alone? Okay, you, Judy.
Just the two
you
of us.
You are part of a department.
But it's true, come to think of it.
But they'll come,
yes.
no, Judy, let's go for a drink in the night. What are we going for a drink for?
And when you get to that, you're not even talking about business,
no,
first of all.
you are not.
Talking about work, nothing.
You know, so it's I mean, those are some of the signs. And I think the first thing is to trust your instinct. If it feels wrong, it's wrong.
When in doubt, then it's wrong.
Yes.
Okay, and then can you compare sexual harassment at the office to things like defilement and, you know, rape, incest? They were happening in our society, but the media didn't bring them out, and they were happening, but no one knew about it. Not only until journalists started talking about it, women in the home started talking about being beaten up. Can you compare sexual harassment to be in that category of where it's happening, but people are just not speaking out?
I think so. I really think it's happening and at a large scale. But I think also people just don't think it's as harmful. But it is as harmful. I think that to the person that it's happened to, it's got to bother you. You know, you've got to wake up and think, I'm going to see that person again. Are they going to say this? Are they going to try and rub their shoulder? You know,
true.
You know, so I'm sure that it's just as bad, except that we're not hearing about it. I mean, it's a violation. You know, all these other things are a violation. You know, so it's hopefully the media can start picking it up.
We are already picking it up.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also, like I said earlier, it's
a personal choice. It's
up to the individuals to raise the flag.
Very true.
Yeah.
Mtinda, it's been a pleasure.
The pleasure.
But before I let you go, any other comment you'd like to add on our topic for today, sexual harassment and dressing of ladies at the office?
I would like to say that sexual harassment has absolutely nothing to do with the way a person dresses. It's a problem that the harasser has. And I also just want to speak out to people and say that a person will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. I want to, you know, engage people and say, you know, stand up and condemn what is wrong. Don't allow people to treat you in any which way. If you don't have your own boundaries, if you don't have your own guidelines, if you don't have your own principles, anybody will treat you in any which way. Whether it's in the workplace, it's at home, it's on the street, you've got to stand up and say, don't treat me like that. I'm Mutinta, and these are my rules on how you should treat me. Don't shout at me, don't touch me, don't belittle me. You know, it's up to you to set those standards for yourself.
Now you ladies and everyone out there know why I brought this lady to talk about this. You've heard her last statement. Don't touch me. Don't. Mutinta, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. We're going to let you go now.
Thank you.
Okay, you're watching Woman 360, and of course we've been talking to Mutinta, sexual harassment at the workplace. Join me on the other side. Now moving on, Mutinta earlier on was saying sometimes people always connect dressing with sexual harassment. Is it true that ladies really, you call these things upon yourselves? If you wear a mini, if you wear something very revealing, something low cut here, is it true? Because most of the people in the streets of Lusaka also gave me this, dressing in connection to sexual harassment. So I caught up with the human resource personnel who gave his point of view on this. Listen to this.
Sexual harassment is quite a relative term